Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Mastermind. I am Paul Baxter, Implementation Coach for the Mortgage Mastermind Group, and we've got a great class. It's early in the new year. We've already had our first class for the new year, but excited to start the new year off. And what I want to do for the month of January is we're going to talk a lot about branding. But I'm kind of paint the picture of branding in a little bit different color than what you've seen it in before. So kind of stay with me on today's class because it's going to make the next few classes that we have planned for you make a whole lot more sense, and it'll help guide you through how you can grow and create your own brand, which really is the cornerstone of your business. Okay? So what is branding? And I was looking, I did a Google search for, just branding and looking for definitions, and I found one that it wasn't the Wikipedia definition, but it's the one that made the most sense to me based on how I want you guys to look at branding. And what branding is defined to me is a promise delivered. That's what branding is, a promise delivered. Everything you do in your business is a promise to your clients and to your partners. And what that means is that the colors and the badge and the names, and those are only a small part of your brand, and quite frankly, not even what your brand is. So what your brand is a promise delivered. Think of the ultimate brand. And yes, that's a picture of the dollar bill. That is the ultimate global brand, in my opinion, because it's nothing more than a simple piece of paper. But on the front of that simple piece of paper, it's a promise delivered. We find the owner of the brand, which is the Federal Reserve, and then we get a testimonial from the first president of the United States of America, George Washington. He's got his picture right on the front. What other testimonial could you get that's better than that? Then there's a simple guide for the users on exactly what this means. This note is legal tender for debts public and private. Right there on it. To solidify the brand, the owner provides an important informational message. In God we trust. That delivers a message of trust to the person that's holding that. Okay, in God they're holding by their morals. They're ethical. They're going to live by what they say, that this note is legal tender for debts public and private. The world brand confers value globally, even though it's just a simple piece of paper. That's what I'm going to paint. And James, you asked a great question, and that's the question I was trying to lead to today. And the question is, what is the difference between a brand and a logo? That's what I'm trying to convey today. I'm going to show you exactly what a brand is and why it has nothing to do with the logo. I did, Peggy, and I spent a few minutes giving kudos to you on your brand new video, and I asked everybody on the call to go ahead and click the like button on your video to help you increase your engagement level so it will show in more of your local people's news feeds, because that's a great video, by the way. Excellent, and she is doing fantastic. I appreciate the concern. Fantastic, got the best news possible. I'll tell you all about it later. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So as you can see, bear with me, let me wet my whistle here real quick. The dollar bill is the ultimate brand because it's nothing more than a simple piece of paper, but it instills trust and value, and people can rely on it all across the entire world. Heck, other economies are based on the value of the dollar bill. That's the ultimate brand. So how is marketing different than branding? Marketing is an attempt to push a consumer to buy a specific product or a service. But branding is an attempt to pull consumers in based on a feeling of recognition and trust. You notice that word keeps coming up a lot, and you'll see that several times throughout our class today, trust. That's a big part of branding. Where marketing may sell a specific product, branding creates loyalty and ambassadors, people who are going to talk about you. when people develop a loyalty to a brand, that's where referrals take place. And the people in the mortgage business specifically who you hear it all the time. You'll see successful people, oh, 80% of my business is referral based. Think of a person like Ed Nauerl, who a vast majority of Ed Nauerl's business is referral based. But think about the things that Ed Nauerl does in his marketing. It's all about branding. He's branding himself as a giver by doing his appreciation thing. He's giving back to his consumers and his buyers and his everything else. He's branding himself as an expert by doing all the different presentations and everything else. He's branding himself as loyal and trustworthy by his amazing follow-up techniques, especially with that birthday thing. That's displaying a level of care that you just can't get. So, that's what branding is. It's not so much that Ed is a great marketer. He's just really great at branding. Is it starting to make sense, the difference between a logo and a brand now, James? A logo is nothing more than an image. That's just a logo. But once you've instilled it through the marketing efforts, through instilling trust and instilling the recognition and putting it out there and always being the expert and always giving back and providing cool, valuable things, your logo starts to become a brand. Okay? That's the picture we're painting here. So branding is strategic where marketing can be tactical. So what you're doing with your marketing, that's the tactic that helps you with the strategy of branding yourself. Marketing can support a brand and help expose the brand to new prospects. Branding is what remains after the marketing efforts have happened. Marketing may convince you to buy a Camry, but it's the branding that may convince you that you're going to buy Toyotas from now on, that you're a Toyota driver. How many of us on this call, you hear it all the time, NASCAR is the biggest place for it. I'm a Ford guy, Ford only. Even though Ford makes 16, different kinds of cars, they will only ever buy a Ford. Chevy people, same thing. Toyota people, Honda people, oh, I'm only getting Honda. They're loyal to a brand because the brand, not the marketing strategy that got them to want to buy the CR-V, it was the brand that got them to switch from a Civic to, a Sequoia or whatever the case may be. It's the branding that makes the loyalty. Brand is more important than ever in today's market, especially for mortgage lenders, because the world is online. Information is available at the click of a mouse or the swipe of a finger anymore with mobile devices. More and more buying decisions are being made based on brand knowledge, and the brand knowledge is being found on their own. So no branding, no differentiation. No differentiation, no long-term profitability. That's all there is to it. You've got to, you can have a marketing idea that does real well for a brief moment, but then it will go away. But if you are constantly marketing your brand, or branding is your focus of your marketing efforts, you get long-term profitability. You get that brand loyalty. People don't have relationships with the product. They have a loyalty to the brand. You drink Coke products. I drink Pepsi products. So have I convinced you yet that branding's important? Kind of showing you a couple of examples. I'm trying to help you guys see the difference here in what I'm referring to as branding as opposed to marketing or logo making. Okay? Very important to see the difference here. So for you, it's really important, guys, that you start implementing a branding strategy in your marketing efforts. For mortgage businesses, you are your brand. I've said this before. Some of you have heard me say it. You are your brand. People don't do business with you because of the company that you work for. They do business with you because they got to know, trust, and like you. That makes you your brand. They do business with you because of you. So what that leads us to is what they call personal branding. And so we're going to develop your personal brand. I would say we all have a personal brand that influences other people's decisions about whether or not to do business with us. And our personal brand can be good, bad, or indifferent, but we all have one already naturally. And your personal brand not only has a powerful effect on those that you meet directly, but what about the people that they meet and the people that they talk to? Your brand can actually affect what's happening behind you, because people are talking about you the same way that they talk about a product or a service. And if your personal branding is doing the right things, it can have a big influence on those conversations. Think about it. How many of you have ever been asked, you know a good roofer? Do you know a good mechanic? Do you say, yeah, go to the Amoco station down the road, or do you say, go see my friend Dave? He works down at the Amoco station down the road. I need a good roofer. Do you know anybody? You don't say call Done Right Roofing. You say call my buddy Ed down at Done Right Roofing. He'll take care of you. That's the branding that you're looking to do, because people are talking about you in association with your brand and how you make them feel. Personal branding is not just about you professionally. This is a big one to remember, that especially for us in the mortgage business, people want to get to know, trust. It's about relationships. For us in the mortgage business, it really is about relationships. And to develop the best relationships, you've got to create something more than just a professional relationship. It's got to be something that's on a personal level too, because that's where you get a true relationship, where you know that if somebody asks them, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, do you know any good mortgage people? Oh, you got to call my guy Paul. He works for Legacy Financial. You got to call my guy Paul down at Legacy. So a prime example of this is, take somebody world famous, and I know I'm making some extreme examples, but take like David Beckham. His private branding shows who he is as a son and a father and a husband, and he does all kinds of things where they show him around the kids and things like that. While his public brand shows he's a professional athlete and a fashion icon, and he's always seen on the red carpets and things like that. That's branding. That's how celebrities brand themselves. He'll show himself in wearing nothing but a sport coat and the Calvin Klein showing on his underwear in a Twitter image to brand his fashion icon. But then he'll show himself having an ice cream on a hot summer day with the kids to show that level of personal side. That kind of branding expands what people think and get to know about you. So an example for me, my private branding is who I am as a father, as a husband, a Floridian who loves to fish. While my professional brand would be more about who I am as a marketing coach, a trainer, or a speaker and teacher. See the difference there? It's important to make sure that you're giving people a chance to get to know you on not just a professional level, but a personal level, because that's where your brand, that's where people start to see you as more than just a mortgage person. They're seeing your brand as a real person that they know, trust, and like. Your personal brand creates impact in 3 stages, kind of like a rocket. And the first stage is that first impression that you make. And guys, girls, there's no easy way to say it. We are human beings by nature, and our first impressions are always made without the mouth ever being opened. It just is what it is. Yes, I admit to it, my hand is raised. I make a first impression based on the way somebody looks or in the way that they approach me. I absolutely do. Now, I always give them an opportunity to change that first impression, but there's always that first impression. So do you look the part? Do you look like the trusted mortgage professional? Are you wearing cutoff jeans and flip-flops with a tank top to your meetings? Are you going in with some nice slacks and a nice polo shirt? Are you wearing a nice blouse and a business suit, or maybe a nice dress, or whatever the ladies wear for a business professional? Do you look the part? Brand yourself in the way that you look, the way that you want to be perceived. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again, we live in a world where perception is reality. And you must make that good first impression. Stage 2 is the initial conversation. What you say and how you say it to build rapport from the very beginning is all about how you're branding yourself. How are people perceiving you based on the first few things that you say? And then the last stage and the stage that develops the relationship is all about how you follow up. That is all part of your branding. How you follow through and build that relationship is how people are going to see you if they recommended a friend to you. Do they feel fearful if they recommend a friend to you that you're going to call them the first couple of weeks, then they won't hear from you for about 2 months, and then they'll hear from you real hard and fast again for a couple of weeks, then you'll disappear for a few months again? Or are they confident knowing that you're going to constantly be communicating with them and you know, talking with them, and that you were diligent in your follow-up trying to earn their business and make sure that you were sharing your level of expertise to make sure they were educated about the entire situation? That's all part of branding you and who you are as a mortgage lender. So as a mortgage professional, your brand must convey, first and foremost, expertise. You must be knowledgeable in what you offer. This is why focusing on niches is so successful. It's also why doing presentations is a great way to grow your brand, specifically your brand. Trust is another thing that you must convey in all of the branding that you do. You need to be honest and ethical in both your personal and professional life to be branded as trustworthy. You'll be upfront with people. Hey, listen, you've got your credit's at a level where here's where we are, but we can help fix it. Here's what's going to have to happen. You be upfront and honest with people and ethical in what you do. Provide the best product, not the best commission for yourself. Provide the most amount of information, even though they may not buy from you. Give it to them anyway. To develop that level of trust, because with the trust, that's where brand loyalty comes from. Availability, this boils down basically to communication. That is something that you absolutely must do with both partners and consumers, because they want to know that they can rely on you for the answers that they need when they have questions. Not when you feel like answering the questions, but when they have them. Let them know they can rely on you for communication. And the best way to accomplish this, and I love the way that Chad does this and has it structured with the Legacy Group, because it takes away any ability for the consumer to say, well, I wasn't communicated with, because it's a proactive approach. Excuse me, bear with me 1 second. Being proactive in your communication versus reactive, I guarantee you, if you took a proactive approach to your communication, your branding and your customer loyalty and customer referrals would skyrocket. And the reason for that is because you're communicating at a level that wasn't expected. It's called under-promising and over-delivering. And that creates a feeling within any buyer, no matter if you're buying pencils or you're buying a home and you're financing a mortgage. That creates that feeling of trust, and it sets an expectation, or it gives them a level of expectation, and I'm searching for the right word here and I'm not finding it. But by under-promising and over-delivering, what you create with that consumer is a person that's always going to be a cheerleader of yours. That's when you get that true ambassador of your business, because they had an experience that they didn't expect, and because they didn't expect it, it created a different feeling within inside them. I don't know if I'm explaining that the right way, but when you under-promise and over-deliver, you're creating a customer for life, and one that will always constantly refer you. And so having a proactive communication, like set up to be proactive on your communication, call them even when you don't need to. Just wanted to let you know I don't have any update right now, but I wanted to let you know that, we're still working on it. You're not, we haven't forgotten about you, and we are working on you diligently. Here's where we're at with the process to remind you, and I'll call you with some changes or with an update as soon as possible. Just, it doesn't take much to do proactive communication, but by doing so, you differentiate yourself in a way, and it really goes a long way in terms of branding. So the three things that you need to convey, again, expertise, trust, and availability, in my opinion. So the goal today, of all of today's class, the whole goal today was to change the way you think about branding. It's not just a name or an image or, as James said, a logo. It's much more than that. Your brand is how people feel when they see or hear your name or your image or your logo. Your brand is all the things you do in your business, and a lot of times in your personal lives too. That's all part of branding you as who you are. Because in the mortgage business, we are our brand. We don't have the luxury of having a logo like Coca-Cola that people recognize. So how do you create your brand? So guys, I'm going to give you 3 steps real quick here, and everybody go through this exercise with me, and you will have your brand new brand for 2015 created at the end of this exercise. You ready? Step 1, type your first and last name out. Everybody done with that? Perfect. Step 2. Step 2 is optional, by the way. If you feel like coming up with something to follow it, by all means, go ahead and do so. You could do something like the Mortgage Dude, Paul Baxter, the Mortgage Dude, Paul Baxter, Mortgage Answer Man, Peggy Wilson, Mortgage Answer Lady. How about that? Mortgage Answer Lady, Mortgage Answer Gal. I like gal better. But feel free to come up with something at the end of it, but don't feel like it's necessary. Step 3, you are done. That's your brand. All right, Peggy Wilson, Michigan Mortgage Pro. But your brand, Peggy, is Peggy Wilson. Michigan Mortgage Pro is your tagline, just so you know. Is everybody on the same page with that? Steve, your brand is Steve Gilbert. Lisa, your brand is Lisa Stepp. James, your brand is James Bukovic. If you'd like to add a tagline like Michigan Mortgage Pro or the Mortgage Dude or the Mortgage Answer Man, feel free to do so. But your brand is your brand. Your brand is Alan Gross. Your brand is Jeff or Patrick. That's your brand, guys. And you're done. Because again, the mindset of what a brand is different now. It's not an image or a name. Our brand is how we make people feel when they hear or see our first or last name. James, I would highly recommend, James got a great question here. Can you have several brands or just one? I would highly recommend that what I think you're asking about is, do you want to be James Bukovic, your reverse mortgage guru, James Bukovic, your VA loan specialist, James Bukovic, your doctor, your doctor's loan specialist, James Bukovic, your renovation loan guru, is what I think you're referring to in terms of having several brands. Your brand is just one, and it's James Bukovic. Those other things, the reverse mortgage guru, the renovation loan specialist, those are your tagline. And you can change that up as often as you would like. but your brand is James Bukovic. And the things that you do, the things that you say, the things that you present, the way that you shake hands, the way that you look, Bukovac, sorry. Sorry about that, James. Bukovac. Sorry. I've been calling you that for a couple of years, and I think that might be the first time you've corrected me on it. I wish you'd have done that a couple of years ago. Sorry about that, James. And you know, anyway, that's your brand is James Bukovac, and those other things are the niches and the taglines that you're going to be using to market your brand. Your actual brand, though, is everything that you're doing, you know, the way that you look when you meet somebody, to the follow-up plan and process that you have in place, to how you greet somebody on the telephone, to how you end a telephone call, quite frankly. Make it a great day. You know, those kind of things are part of your brand. The other things like reverse mortgage specialist, simply a tagline, in a way to, that's more of a marketing title than a brand. And I hope that makes sense to you, my friend. Great question, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's good to clarify that. So take Google, for instance, in terms of the name and things like that. Nothing in that name, Google, says search engine. However, it is the most recognized brand in the world. Why? Because branding came with getting their message out, not the actual name or the colors or the size. It was the branding came with putting the message out there and repeating it multiple times and getting it in front of the right audience, but then delivering on the promise. Remember, going back to the definition of branding from the very first slide, delivering on the promise, which is what branding actually is. And Google did that very effectively. They delivered on their promise. Now, it took marketing to get their branding out. It took marketing strategies to deliver their message and to deliver their brand to their audience. But then their branding worked because they delivered on the promise that they made. The promise that this symbol, this word, means a good quality search that's going to give you results for the things that you're looking for in life. They delivered on that promise. Does that make sense to everybody? It's important to, you know, I get it. That's an extreme example. And I think I even say that in the next slide. And that's, an extreme example. I get it. But put it in perspective. Your audience are the real estate agents and home buyers in your area, while Google's audience was the entire world. That's not what we're looking for. We don't need to, it's a little bit different than what Google's doing. We're not going to spend the marketing dollars that Google spent to get their brand out there and have the opportunity to deliver on their promise, but we're not scoping in that fashion. If we focus our branding on the right audience, we're going to be able to maximize our results. If we focus on the right buyers, if we focus on the right real estate agents, the right audience, and deliver our message and get an opportunity to deliver on that promise, our branding will work every single time. So you all now have a brand. Mine would be Paul Baxter, implementation coach. And so tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to get it out, how to get that brand out to your audience, how to actually market that. And some of it's going to be, as we saw just a little bit ago, you know what, I'm just going to skip to the page. Okay, Facebook, catch up. Catch up, Facebook, catch up. So Some of the branding that we're going to talk about getting out are things like this, things like Peggy posting a video online about a specific message. What she's doing here, she's delivering expertise. She goes into a moment in the video. She goes into a moment in the video. Okay. I was trying to get you a good face on there, Peggy, but it's hard to pause that sucker with a great look, with a good one. So the beginning when I paused it too quick and your mouth was open, so I figured you'd like this one a little better. But she delivers expertise first and foremost. She delivers trust in the video. Remember, trust is part of branding. She delivers trust in the video by stating in the middle exactly what the stipulations are and what some of the things, the pitfalls may be. If you've got a lower credit score, you may not get the full amount of what's being offered here or what the new program entails. So she's being upfront and honest and ethical in her delivery of the message, which is delivering trust. And then she's also making herself very available in the video at the very end. She's got a solid she's got 7 seconds of her contact information, and she has a direct call to action to call me for any information you've got. So maybe even without knowing it, Peggy covered all the bases of branding in this video. It delivers expertise, it delivers trust, and it delivers availability. That's branding, guys. This is a marketing effort that delivers Peggy Brewer Wilson, or Peggy Wilson. It delivers her brand effectively. And I see there's a comment in here. The point is that I didn't care that my hair was wonky yesterday, and I did all the SEO stuff, plus emailed that out to all my real estate agents, affinity partners at 6 a.m. today. Perfect. That's getting your message out, and that's part of, that's some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. We're going to be talking about one of the big things I'm going to make it a point to talk about tomorrow on the class is ways that allow you to deliver your brand in a very unique way. And a big part of that is with presentations, which that's kind of how this whole thing kind of ties together. It's a very unique way to deliver your brand. Another big way of delivering your brand is in giving back to your brand loyal customers. That's a big thing that we're going to be talking about as well, so kind of keep paying attention for that. Any Q&A for today? That's all. I know kind of a short class, but today's kind of an intro to branding. Does everybody kind of understand the concept that I'm trying to deliver? It's important for me to leave here today knowing that you guys get what I'm trying to do here, is change your mindset a little bit from thinking about your brand as a logo or some cool flash whiz. But this is not Mortgage Mastermind Group's brand up here. That is not our brand. That is our logo. Does everybody understand the difference now? Brand and logo can be the same. However, Lisa, the brand is how people feel when they see this, what they think about, what feelings are instilled when they see my logo. Brand is what people understand about what we do when they see Paul Baxter, implementation coach, or Lisa Stepp, recruiting specialist. It's how people feel when they see who you are. It's not necessarily the logo or the image. It's how people feel when they get a message from you. You absolutely can. Like I said, this is the Mortgage Mastermind Group, strategy, systems, implementation. This whole thing is a logo that instills our brand. It instills the feeling of what our brand is. So what you're talking about, James, is having your logo. People will recognize your brand of who James Bukovac is and what he does based on seeing the image of your logo on a T-shirt. That's what I'm kind of referring to here and trying to paint the picture for, and I don't want to make this confusing. Your logo is just an image or some words splashed on a page. Your brand is how you deliver that and deliver a level of expertise that people can get to trust and understand that you are available to them as far as a mortgage lender. That's how your brand is going to help you get more business. A etched image of black lettering with a purple background with a star flashing in the background that says James Bukovac, bow, right in big bold letters on a golf T-shirt. That's the logo, but when people see it, you want them to think of, man, he is an expert in mortgages, because I've seen that logo before, and I know who James Bukovac is, and that makes me think he is I know right in my head right now, just by seeing that, he is a great mortgage lender that is an expert on the mortgage business. And, man, I trust that. I would certainly trust that guy to do my mortgage, because I know he's available all the time, because I see what he does. See the difference there? Your logo creates that feeling. That feeling is the brand. The logo is just the image that creates it. And the branding itself is all the things that you do to support or to create that feeling. And that's what we're going to be talking about the rest of this week and tomorrow specifically. We're going to go over how you start to deliver that brand. How do you start to deliver that message and get people to recognize that when they see your face or when they see James Bukovac come up, that feeling is created. Yep, there certainly are. There's things you've got to focus on. There's really 6 very specific steps that really, which is what I'm going to be talking about probably Wednesday next week, are the 6 steps that every person should know about their brand and how to be effective with it. And some of those things are: be better at your communicate, be better at engaging your targets, be more in tune with what your target needs right now, be more efficient on letting them get to know you on a personal level. And so there's lots of different things, and so we're going to focus on not just the marketing aspect. How do you, the nuts and bolts of creating a video that allows you to brand it, and creating a cool direct mail or email campaign that allows you to kind of brand yourself. We're going to cover all that stuff, and we're going to talk about how to make sure that you're utilizing and growing your brand effectively in today's online market, because let's face it, guys, we are in an online market, and that's where our focus is going to be on this. So that's it for today, guys. I know it's a few minutes early, but good stuff. I appreciate each and every one of you coming and hanging out with me today. Tomorrow it's going to get a little bit better. We're going to focus on some very specific how-tos and step-by-step strategies on getting your brand out there to who you want your brand to be seen by. Guys, girls, have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you right back here, same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.